Tech Sideline is presented by First Bank and Trust Company, the bank that puts you first. They can meet your banking and financing needs for personal, agricultural, business, commercial, mortgages, and so much more. Visit firstbank.com to learn more.
Virginia Tech fell to Miami 34-17 on Saturday, but the game wasn't without some entertaining moments. Let's recap the contest on episode 456 of the Tech Sideline podcast, which starts right now. We're recording on Monday, November 24th, 2025 from the Tech Solutions studio in the Virginia Tech Corporate Research Center. If you're watching the show on YouTube, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and refer the show to a friend. I'm your host, Riley Klaus, and today I'm joined to my left by lead analyst and columnist Chris Coleman. Across the way, our managing editor, David Cunningham. To my right, senior staff writer Andy Bitter, and producing the show behind the scenes, as always, is Mr. Nick Brown. Well, as we get towards the end of the Virginia Tech football season, we're here to recap the contest which occurred on Saturday between Virginia Tech and Miami, in which the Hurricanes won 34-17. What are the initial takeaways from this game?
Did you not learn anything new? Virginia Tech's rushing offense was excellent, as it usually is. Their rushing defense against a non-mobile quarterback was good, as it normally is. And everything else was kind of bad. And they lost the game. And there's some good pieces on this team. There's just not enough balance across the board.
Yeah, it's not complete enough of a team to win and compete in a game like that. And, you know, every week it's like they fought hard. It's like, okay, we've established that. That's sort of the base level of what you want from this team. But were they ever going to win that game? They didn't take a snap in the second half where they were closer than 10 points. And I know they got the onside kick at the very end. Everybody got real excited. It's Pop Watson time. It's time to do it. Immediate fumble. Then Miami puts the capper touchdown in at the end, and they win the game by 17. So, yeah, it was close there for 10 points in the fourth quarter, but it never really felt like Virginia Tech was going to win that game at any point.
Yeah, I think it's what we've seen time and time again from this defense, where Miami scored on its first 5 possessions. I mean, only eight possessions in total, and scored touchdowns or field goals on 6 of them. And when you're the Virginia Tech defense and you can't really stop it, I mean, the total yards was close, and the Hokies ran the ball better than anybody has against Miami all season. And this is a really, really good Miami rush defense. But at the same time, Hokies are too one-dimensional, and we've seen this story so many times this year. You can't. I mean, they turned it over on downs twice. The Hokies. Pop Watson had that fumble late. Just one of those things where if you can't really stop them, you can't afford to make mistakes on the other side. And but to be fair, honestly, there's more points than I thought Virginia Tech was going to put up to begin with. So
did it feel like Miami sort of let up a little bit?
It did
at the end. They tend to do that. Yeah. It seems like in these games. Yeah. That Florida State game ended up being close at the end.
They were up by 3 touchdowns.
But that game was never close throughout. So I think they maybe have a tendency to do that, and perhaps why they at the end they punched in that one, through the touchdown pass with 20 seconds left. I guess if you're fighting for an at-large spot, you have to do everything you can. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, Virginia Tech's calling timeouts to help them at that point. They almost encouraged them to go for that touchdown. So I don't know how angry you can be about them throwing that touchdown pass. But again, I think, I wrote this in my column, like, this used to be an extremely tight series. This was 50-50 since they joined the Big East and went into the ACC. Miami's now won 5 straight in the series, and we sit here and we dunk on Miami all the time, and Miami's back and all this stuff. Well, guess what? Miami's more back than Virginia Tech is right now. So that was sort of the point of my column afterwards. Like, there's work to do to get up to the level that Miami's at, and Mario Cristobal has done a nice job with this program. For as much as we make fun of them and stuff, that's 2 straight 9-win seasons where they've been in the playoff contention. That's what Virginia Tech wants to get to. So, this is sort of the example here for James Franklin, what they can get back to. Miami's a little bit ahead of them right now, but, that's the goal, is to be where Miami is and to be, in consideration for the playoffs.
The Hokies' last win over Miami was 2019 Hendon Hooker game.
That game, yeah.
And last win in Blacksburg against Miami was 2016. That was Fuente's first season on a Thursday night. The Sam Rogers throwing touchdown pass. I mean, it's been a while in this series.
Was that the one where they had like 8 sacks of Brad Kaya?
Yeah.
And like I think a couple of their starters were out and they still got a ton of sacks in that game. That was a fun game to cover.
It was a fun game to watch. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And in terms of Miami's success, a lot of it came from their connection between Carson Beck and Malachi Toney. The passing game for Miami was all out there.
You know, it was interesting. You knew you probably weren't going to get much pressure on Miami because Tech has been inconsistent rushing the passer this year, and Miami's offensive line and pass blocking has been absolutely outstanding. But the response to that was to like take Ben Bell out of pass rushing responsibilities and drop him back in coverage so many times. And at one point, he was isolated on Toney.
He was in the secondary way too much
Right.
for a defensive end.
Right.
I do not understand what they
Yeah.
were doing necessarily.
Yeah. And, you know, it's just been the same issue all year for Tech. It's that void between the linebackers and the safeties is where they're weakest at, which makes sense considering the players that they're playing there. You've got a true freshman at linebacker. You've got a true freshman at safety. One of your other linebackers has never played inside linebacker until this year, right? It's just a lot of new faces and a lot of young players in there. I guess the concern is you're not really seeing any progress to a certain extent. It's kind of the same thing every week, but that's the big weak spot on the defense right now is that area between the linebackers and safeties.
Yeah, what has happened to the pass rush lately? That's 2 straight games, no sacks. 1 sack the last 3 games, 5 games this year where they haven't gotten to the quarterback.
Would you say it was 2 pressures yesterday?
Yeah, 2 pressures, season low. So Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Old Dominion, and Vanderbilt. 5 games where they have not taken the quarterback down the backfield. Now, obviously, those games early in the season got out of control early, so it's not like they were throwing the ball in any kind of situations where you knew you could rush the passer. But man, it felt like Carson Beck was just standing back there in a 7-on-7 drill, just clean jersey, clean pocket, delivering passes down the field, and that's no way for this secondary to live because they can't cover guys for that long.
Yeah.
It's they've been really beat up by departures and injuries in that secondary, and it's just not capable of covering guys for 3-4 seconds like that. And honestly, not a lot of secondaries are. You need that kind of pressure up front. So we'll see if they can get some pressure on UVA quarterback this week, but I think they need to turn that around. I think that's where it needs to start for this defense to show some semblance of a backbone here.
As far as Toney goes, I mean, he 12 catches for 13 catches for like 140 yards. He threw a pass for 15. He had 3 rushes for 16.
That was a good pass. Like he had to adjust his arm angle because he was getting pressure right in his face. Adjust his arm angle and throw it to his secondary option. Like he had to check down on that play. So that's a great job by a true freshman wide receiver checking down his progressions, changing his arm angle to hit a guy going across the field on a crossing pattern. He did things on that one play that Virginia Tech has struggled to do in the passing game all season.
He's 3 for 4 this year for 73 yards. He's got a 310 passer rating this season, so pretty good option there.
Yeah,
He's so good and so talented, and he's one of those guys where you get him the ball, doesn't matter how, you just get him the ball in space and he makes something happen.
3-star recruit.
Well, he had that way. Well, I think he was lower rated because he reclassified. And that's probably why. I think if he was in this upcoming class, he'd be a 5-star guy or whatever.
Okay, so he's supposed to be in high school right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, he had that 56-yarder across the middle where Caleb Spencer sort of fell down and then they completed and he goes a long ways. And then I don't know if you saw that he ran into that cheerleading coach or whatever it was on the side. I don't know exactly what her role was, but that could have been like really bad. She was very close to like falling back and hitting her head on that concrete.
When I rewatched the game yesterday morning, I backed that up several times, and I'm like, how does she pop right back up after that?
I mean,
that was impressive.
very narrowly avoided catastrophe there, but to the point, Malachi Toney is very good.
Yes.
There was a nice gain by him on that play.
He helped her up.
Yeah, I think it's
a gentleman too. That's very nice.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when Beck has as clean of a pocket as he does, and you've got a wide receiver as good as Toney, it's just like, I mean, that's just hard for Virginia Tech to stop. And they got him the ball in a ton of different ways. It wasn't like just the same pass play over and over. It just seemed like you look up and there's Malachi Toney wide open in the middle of the field, and there he goes off to the races. And it's one of those things where has Virginia Tech's struggled this year.
Well, there were some other plays where you're looking at like, what is Virginia Tech's defense doing? Like the first touchdown, Ben Bell drops back into coverage, and then the tight end gets behind everybody, and he's wide open up the middle. The second touchdown, there's a guy in the flat, and Thomas Williams kind of looked at him, and then there was too much space there, and he couldn't close down on it.
He just bit on the play fake inside, which you should never do as a corner.
And then they ran that nice wheel route, and Noah Chambers kind of got hung up on another defender, and they got caught flat-footed, and the guy got behind him. Made a really nice catch in the end zone. I thought Beck was going to throw it too far on that play, but was that Pringle? I think that caught that one.
Yeah, that was Pringle.
Really nice catch. So, Miami made some nice plays, but there were some plays on defense where you're like, what is Virginia Tech doing pass coverage-wise on this stuff?
Tech's defense used to be so good that whenever on the rare occasion they messed up, you could always tell whose fault it was because it was only one person messing up. With a lot of these passing plays now, especially the ones over the field, it's like you can't tell whose fault it is because it seems like everybody's out of position.
Yeah.
And that's, there's just so many huge holes that receivers are just running through in the secondary. That's a lot of problems need to be fixed in the offseason, but that's going to be one of them. But again, I would like to see what it looked like with Quentin Reddish and Christian Ellis out there. Obviously, both those guys have shown in the past that they can make a difference. I mean, particularly like what Ellis did in the NC State game this year. And lo and behold, that was the last game he ever played for Virginia Tech. So I think Tech has some pieces there. They're just young. And, you've got to get Reddish back from injury and probably hit the portal for another safety to give yourself some depth and some more options. And, it'll be interesting to see what he does with his coaching staff back there as well.
We've come a long way since the preseason where we were talking about, hey, Virginia Tech has all these safeties.
I know, God. Well, speaking of that, they got Koval back this week. Was anybody expecting that? He played like 15 snaps.
I don't know. I didn't notice him out there.
Yeah, he was out there. Played like 15 snaps.
Dropped by Tony.
Yeah.
Well, as long as we brought up Tony's throat, Virginia Tech did try to get in their bag of tricks late, but it resulted in a penalty. So.
It was finally a trick play. Finally a trick play.
Well, finally a trick play, but it was also the trick play they ran in the spring game.
Right.
And it's like, you already showed that in the spring game. I mean, Miami was all over it. They saw it coming. Was it really interference on Selden?
It was not.
It kind of.
They didn't show it. Well, I didn't watch the complete replay. I watched the condensed game version, and they didn't show it on the condensed.
Okay, I watched it on. I rewound it because I have the YouTube TV thing. I actually have ESPN again on there. So I watched that during the game, so I rewound it a couple times. Like his hands are there, but it didn't look like he really shoved him to the ground as much as the guy fell to the ground. So I don't know. Not a strongly officiated game. Let's put it that way.
No, I would agree with that statement.
I mean, we can talk about, is this you mentioned the officiating. We should probably talk about the what was it, the inadvertent whistle.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
and then reviewing a play like the review on the
there was a timeout and they came back out of it and then they reviewed it.
It was like one of those basketball games where there's 40 fouls called.
The game took 3 hours and 45 minutes,
right.
And then part of it was because of this officiating. I don't want to say incompetence, but yeah, incompetent. I mean, it was a poorly officiated game. They didn't feel like they had control over the whole thing. The inadvertent whistle was pretty bad because typically that's a play you let play out, and you go, I couldn't quite tell if his knee was down there, but we'll let this continue to its end and then figure out afterwards. And all these people are like, Virginia, the refs are trying to screw Virginia Tech. It's like, well, Miami's players, a couple players you could see they stopped on that play, including one that was trailing the play. So it's not like. How could you count that? You couldn't count that. That'd be unfair to Miami at that point. So the only thing you can do is replay it. Unfortunate because it was a really great effort play by Drones, by Aiden Green, by both those guys to get it done. But you never know if it would have actually played out like that. But it was that. It was the Hairston catch that they then waited to review until right when Virginia Tech snapped it and got stuffed on fourth down. So it's like, you had that entire timeout that somebody called before that. You didn't look at that play at that point. And then later on, they're like, we're reviewing a backward pass by Virginia Tech, which A, there's no such thing as a backward pass. It's a lateral. That's what a backward pass is called. And B, it went forward by 7 yards. Like it clearly went forward. They were reviewing whether it came out of Drones' hand as a fumble before, it was launched forward or whatever. So just bad communication, and I feel like that official specifically has been bad before. I don't know. I can't remember which games he's been on. He was on the Cal game.
Right.
Another poorly
another stellar call.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just I feel like in college football there is an officiating problem. I don't know if it's just ACC because you look across the landscape, there's bad calls every week, and it's like calls that it feels like they should have the operation down.
Right, and by officiating, we also mean the replay official. Right. To call it down like in a timely manner, we're going to review this play. Like, how does it take an entire timeout to figure out if you're going to review a play or not?
Yeah. And the other thing is, I think there was a play in the first half where there was offsetting on sportsmanlike conduct penalties on a play that didn't happen.
That was the one that they called down after the Hairston catch, I think. Was it right after that?
Maybe. Yeah.
And so it's just like, yeah, okay, just like I guess this is how we're doing it. It dragged out the game. It made what should have been probably a 3-hour game 45 minutes longer. So
yeah, and I mean it didn't change the outcome
Right.
of the game, but it's just, I don't know. They got to get better officials.
So right, imagine if it's a close game, or not even Virginia Tech Miami, any AC. What if this crew has the Miami Pitt game next week?
Yeah.
Right, that's a huge game.
well, it's not. I mean,
I would hope
just go back to last year, Virginia Tech Miami.
Right.
I would hope they could find better officials for the premier game of the week
One
than
would
that,
think.
but who knows?
Well, if there were to be a positive from Virginia Tech's offense, as Chris, you mentioned towards the beginning, the rush was there on the rushing attack, but specifically Marcellus Hawkins and Jeff Overton really showed out.
Yeah, they did a really good job. I saw a stat this morning that Virginia Tech is third in the country in rushing success rate this year, out of 136 teams. I mean, Virginia Tech's rushing offense is really good. I think the offensive line has made improvements, not in pass blocking, but in run blocking as the season has gone along. And obviously all three of their running backs are good. And then drones can run the ball. Hawkins, he looks the part out there, man. He's a big 220-pound running back with some explosiveness and breaks tackles. Overton has another gear. And I thought he showed great patience on that run, waiting for the hole to open, because that's the type of play where your key block is going to be late because Ganem's blocking down on the defensive tackle, and then he has to get out and seal the linebacker, which he did a great job of. You just got to have patience as a back and wait for it to happen. And he showed great patience and just hit it perfectly. So I thought that's a really good sign. And, Andy, like you said in your article yesterday, for a guy who's still kicking the rust off, and for a guy so young, that's pretty impressive performance.
Yeah, 194 rushing yards. I mean, Miami came in, giving up 81.8 per game. Season high was 161, I believe, against Syracuse. What happened there? Because Syracuse, holy cow, how bad are they right now? I mean,
Sorry,
yeah,
Gio.
that's all good. I mean,
Gio.
Hawkins and Overton both have eligibility left. Like, hey, keep those guys in place, and your running back room's set.
Hawkins
next
might
year.
even have two.
Yeah,
because,
'cause of
he's got
injuries.
one automatically, but he might have two because he missed one of those years due to an injury when he was at the Division II level. So he's actually probably more like a redshirt sophomore right now rather than a redshirt junior from an eligibility standpoint. So you've got a chance to keep those two guys, and with the monetary investment Virginia Tech is about to put in the program, I see no reason why they shouldn't be able to do that.
And you look at coaches they could possibly retain. Feels like Elijah Brooks, pretty good job. That's a pretty good chance that he's going to be retained. I mean, keep Brooks, keep Hawkins, keep Overton. Worry about the other position rooms.
Right.
Like you've got that taken care of, and obviously recruit for the future as well. But I mean, that's a really good start on 2026 right there for the running back room.
Hawkins is averaging 6.3 yards per carry this season. That's on 118 rushes. Terrion Stewart's averaging 6 flat. Jeffrey Overton on 14 carries is averaging 6.6.
Right.
And in this game, I mean, Miami's the most yards per carry Miami had given up in any game this year was to Louisville, was 3.8.
3.8.
And Miami and Andy had mentioned Syracuse at 161. Hokies went for $194 and averaged 5.2 yards per carry. That's of course factoring in Drone's minus 31 sack yards.
Right.
Overton and Hawkins. Overton averaged 9.9. Hawkins averaged 9. And I mean, Prelo had 1 for 12. Terrion Stewart only had 3 carries, but it's just like these dudes can run the ball. It's just the problem is they're just so one dimensional that like you just get in long third down situations and you can't run the ball.
I mean, Marcellus Hawkins could be a 1,000-yard rusher in the right situation. Obviously, he's not in the right situation. You were in a game the other day where he only got 9 carries.
Well,
right?
he got dinged up.
That's right. He
left the carry early in the third quarter.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about
his
that.
shoulder or something. I can't remember
maybe.
Yeah, it was
exactly
a
what,
shoulder.
but it was like a tackle near the sideline, and he came off and didn't get a carry the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So that might be something to watch this week going into UVA.
Yeah, but I mean Hawkins, the combination of him and Overton, what an eval as far as Hawkins
Great.
goes.
I mean,
he's a D2 guy.
Right.
Like, and you get him in the fold, and he looks the part. And I think going back to like before the season, we talked about Terrion Stewart he was kind of the guy that, well, we saw him in a boot a little bit. He was kind of slow getting up to speed. We haven't seen anything of Braden Bennett. I think he was banged up for a while, but
He's still out. He's been listed as out for several weeks at this point. So.
But Hawkins was kind of the guy that I think Elijah Brooks talked about as, he can kind of do it all. And you've really seen that this year. And then you add in the Overton punch. I mean, this is a guy less than a year ago, he tore his ACL. Yeah. And he's racing off for a 38-yard touchdown. And he looks the part of a Virginia Tech football player.
He had like a 5-yard run too where he broke a tackle. Like he looked way stronger than like his size would indicate on that play. So get him in the weight room in this offseason. He's gonna be hard to handle next year.
So some strong running backs, but as the game went on as well, we were able to get a look at Pop Watson for a little bit in the game. Any takeaways from the brief action we saw with him?
Kind of a mixed bag. Like the knock on Pop coming out of last year was when he wasn't pressured, he was really good. Like he dominated UVA and they barely got a hand on him. But when Duke and Minnesota were just put waves of pressure on him, he just stood there and took sacks and just froze up and didn't know what to do with the ball. Kind of a mixed bag this time because on his deep ball to Aiden Green, which was a great route on the out and up, he actually was pressured from behind on that play and stood in there and waited for the route to develop and made the completion. But then again, on the last drive of the game, he fumbled. So it was kind of a mixed bag. I do think he's a better natural passer than Drones. I mean, I think that goes without saying, but how would he handle the pressure on a snap, over the course of four quarters of football, because UVA is going to get a lot of pressure next week.
Quarterback controversy?
I don't.
No, I don't. I think Montgomery was pretty clear afterwards. He got asked about, could there be a Pop package in the UV game? He's like, we'll see. And it wasn't like a we'll see. Like, if you say that, it's like, well, maybe they're cooking something up. It's like, we'll see, and sort of almost was annoyed by the question.
I think that was from Teal.
Yeah, it was. I think, these coordinators and coaches get real touchy about their quarterbacks and anybody questioning whether that guy should be the starter or not. I think they're ride or die with Drones at this point. I think he's got one game left in his college career. I would imagine it's going to be him and only him against UVA in this game, unless he gets dinged up or something like that.
Yeah, I think if Virginia Tech had like a senior-laden offensive line, and they were like really good at protecting the passer, and Pop had a clean pocket all the time, then I do think he would be the better option. But that's not the case.
Well, Drones had zero time to throw,
right?
And there were some plays where he would like look up from the play action fake, and there's somebody on him right away, and it's just. He hasn't been a great passer this year, but I don't know who's going to be a great passer with this offensive line. It's just, it's been rough. He's had no shot back there. I want to say they had 17 pressures against them. That was tied for a season high with the Wake Forest game earlier this year. It's just.
And how many dropbacks did he have?
Yeah, I mean, it just hasn't gotten better.
It's like 75% of the dropbacks you're getting.
And he hasn't been great either. There was that fourth down play where he rolled out and just ran out of bounds instead of trying to throw it downfield. It's like, well, you got at least. Toss it downfield, like get arm punt it for a pick or whatever.
That was the Lenore Sellers play.
Yeah, he's got to be better, but everybody around him has to be better too to make that operation work. And this is why Virginia Tech has struggled so much offensively. They can run the ball great, but passing game is just non-existent.
And Jones finished 12 for 21. Meanwhile, Carson Beck started 11 for 11 on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, he was completing 72% of his passes going into this game. And that's up now.
So the Miami SIDs are talking about in the press box. There was that pass to the end zone that it looked like it was a catch by the tight end.
Williams got in there late.
Yeah, it was broken up late. That would have been, I think, Carson Beck's 25th straight completion.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, he's just obviously got broken up, so it didn't happen. But he had like 23 or 24 up to that point, dating back to last week's game against NC State. And I mean, he is like, you just compare the passing abilities of them. Like, I think it's just stark. Like, you watch this one game and you're like, wow, a quarterback who's got a clean pocket, can throw it all over the yard. And then on the other side, you got a quarterback who seems like he's running for his life every time he takes a snap. And it's a good thing Tech can run the ball because he can't do much else.
Well, as we wind down on this game preview, we've seen 11 of the 12 opponents Virginia Tech is going to see this season. Where would you rank Miami among the teams Virginia Tech has played?
It's funny. A few weeks ago, I thought Louisville was the best team on the Tech schedule, and they haven't won a game since.
They've been pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, as it turns out, losing your starting quarterback and running back has a real
That doesn't help. Yeah.
real impact on the season.
Yeah.
But
I think now Miami.
Best team up there with Vanderbilt, maybe.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt's a good
Vanderbilt's
team.
good, yeah.
I mean, both of it. Yeah, I would love to see both those teams in the playoff. I know Miami has an uphill climb here because it probably not going to play in the ACC championship game. Needs a lot of help to get to that point, but I don't know. That looked like a really solid team out there. And people like dinging Miami's resume. They're like, oh, SMU and Louisville aren't ranked. It's like, well, SMU probably will be ranked coming up. Based on how this was, I'm trying to look at the AP poll. They're 25th in that one. Mm-hmm. Louisville was good at the time,
right?
Like you always, you see a team get beat early in the season, and they're really highly ranked, and then they fall off, and you go, well, that's not the same team later on. If you look at a team that was really good and then becomes bad later on, I think you have to judge them when they were really good.
Plus, they beat Notre Dame head to head.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is people keep ignoring that win, and they try to dance around, and it's like, well, Notre Dame beat Syracuse by more than Miami beat Syracuse by. It's like, well, Miami beat Notre Dame. That should count. like that should be the ultimate trump card in this whole thing. And I guess I'm looking at Notre Dame's schedule. I'm like, what has Notre Dame done to earn its lofty ranking? They haven't really beaten anybody that great. Who's their best win otherwise? USC?
Probably.
So I don't know. I think, again, don't make me defend Miami here, but I feel like Miami really could be a team up there. They could have used Kansas State to pull off that upset of Utah last night, or 2 nights ago, I guess.
What was it, 51-47?
It was. Kansas State ran for 472 yards and lost.
Oh, my God.
Incredible. There's still stuff to play out here, and if they beat Pitt at the end of the season, that's a 10-2 season. Probably not playing for the ACC title game, or possibly not if SMU and Virginia win here. I think they have a strong at-large campaign to do there, but who knows how the committee's going to look at this thing? They prop up the SEC so much in these rankings that it's hard to see how a team like Miami could get in.
I agree with everything you said. At the same time, this Pitt game seems like the type of game Miami would lose. You go up to Pittsburgh, 40,000 people there, in what's probably be cold. The last game of the year. And everybody's like, man, if Miami could just win impressive today, maybe they sneak in, and then somehow they manage to lose.
To be fair, it also feels like a game Pitt could lose because they're finally like expectations. They're 6-1, trying to get to 7-1, and hopefully get in the ACC title game. That's the sort of game that Pitt seems to have a letdown in too. Yep. So
that'd be a shame if they go 7-1 and don't make the title game. And they wouldn't have played either SMU or UVA.
Well, I mean, that's the shame of this whole thing. It seems like no matter what the tiebreakers are going to be, it's going to be between teams that have not played each other this season. And so if it's SMU and Virginia and Pitt all 7-1 at the end of the season, it's going to be SMU and Virginia because Pitt lost to Louisville, and both those other teams beat Louisville. Now, SMU got Louisville at the end of the year when they didn't have their quarterback and their running back, and Virginia beat Louisville, and honestly, one of the flukier results of the season. Again, it just when you have to do tiebreakers like common opponents and stuff like that, or opponents' record, non-shared opponents and stuff like that, it's just like, what are we doing? You got to settle this on the field somehow. Figure out a way to do this. Semifinals. That's how we're doing.
I was setting you up.
I was waiting for it. I think Miami's probably the best team Virginia Tech's played this season. I think Louisville was good, but when Louisville's been, all these guys banged up. Not the same team. That Vanderbilt game feels like forever ago.
Remember when Virginia Tech was winning that game at halftime?
Yeah,
they were beating Louisville at halftime too.
That's true.
That South Carolina game really feels like forever ago.
Yeah,
if you go back to August 31st, where Brent Pry and Shane Beamer are presenting Frank Beamer a game ball beforehand and say, "Hey, in 4 months, James Franklin's going to be the next head coach." You're going to be like, "What?
What in the world?" And that was the game where Tech got 4 sacks and pressured the quarterback all day, and you're like, "Man, we really did replace APR." Right? And as it turns out, nope, South Carolina's offensive line was just horrible.
How weird of a schedule is this, by the way? That they beat Cal. Cal just fired Justin Wilcox, despite being bowl eligible at Cal, which I think is an accomplishment there. I guess don't lose to your rival by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Bad idea to lose to Stanford by 21. And then the other game is NC State, which figure NC State out for me. I mean, honestly.
So I saw
figure Florida State out.
They've beaten UVA, they've beaten Georgia Tech, they beat Florida State. got hammered by Miami. But I mean,
So David Hill
just
tweeted
so
a
strange.
stat this morning: wins versus P4 teams who are 8-3 and better. NC State has 3. Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Virginia, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Oregon have a combined 3.
Holy cow.
NC State, man, the law of the pack or the law of the wolf.
and they're 6. And they're bowl eligible.
They beat they beat
that's
somebody
6
this past weekend.
Beat
to get
Florida
bowl
State.
eligible.
This last
Florida
weekend.
State. Yeah.
Yes.
That was the Friday night.
Yes, and so now
watch, they'll lose to UNC in the whoever is expected to win that game always loses.
The thing about UNC is their defense is pretty good. Like if you look at their defensive numbers this year, their rush defense particularly is good. Like they've lost some like close, low-scoring games because they don't have an offense. Like the UVA game's the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be. Now, normally in the past, it's always been NC State beats Mac Brown because you feel like NC State was just a better coach team or whatever. But as up and down as NC State have been this year, you could see them blowing that one because they don't really seem like a 7-win team,
No, they don't.
no, they don't.
right? But their peak,
I think a lot of people were questioning whether or not they were going to get to a bowl game.
right? But their peak performances, they seem like an 8-win team. But like overall, that they don't seem like a 7-win team. At
And
all.
this is what, like year 12 or 13 with Doran.
Yeah.
It's like, are they going to continue with that? If they finish 6-6 this year, do you look at that and you go, this is on an upward trajectory here? I mean, he's won enough big games this year that I think you could say, yeah, it's maybe a young team, this thing coming together. But you also look at it and you go, it's year 13
Historically.
and you're 6-6. Like, how tired do you get of this stuff? So,
Hey, how about
interesting question.
How about the Knowles extending Norvell? Or we're saying he's going to come back.
Well, they certainly didn't extend it.
right.
I guess they extended him by saying you're allowed to coach here next year. I think it just kind of came down to they didn't have the money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they had scraped up enough money to fire him, would they have been able to afford a good NIL package to support the next head coach?
Yeah, I think part of it though is like you're still paying him that money,
Yeah.
regardless, because he's going to coach next year. So the guarantee is the entire contract right there. You're just not getting a jump start on. You're hoping he can turn it around. It's like, has he shown anything in these last 2 years that he's going to turn it around? So I wonder how much donations lag or NIL opportunities lag because of that. Are you costing yourself more by waiting a year than biting the bullet and doing it now? So not a great year to jump into the market unless you do it 2 months early and you're all over James Franklin before Halloween.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, that will wrap up our discussion of the Miami game. We do have a couple more things surrounding the contest before we move forward, including the photo of the game. Thank you for putting that up there, Nick. That's what we got for this week's photo of the game.
What do you guys think of the uniforms?
I was going to ask you the same thing. I've never been a fan of.
I like the
I liked them.
uniforms. I don't know why you break them out in a game where you're a 17-point underdog.
Right.
Like, you want to wear those in like a game that you win, so you create some sort of nice memory from it. Like, remember those uniforms we wore? They always
Against
wear
Wofford.
they always wear these special uniforms and they lose in them. Like the coolest ones that players have talked about forever were those the ones they wore in that Boise State game. But they sort of ruined those for eternity because they lost that game, the all black ones that they had in that. So I don't know. Break them out against a team that you're going to know that you're going to beat or something like that. And then you can wear them again and it doesn't feel as bad. But they wore those at the Battle of Bristol, the black ones. That's like, well, it's kind of a dud of a game. You want to wear those again? They wore these for this one. Well, that was a dud of a game for that. So maybe some better planning on that front.
I chose
Didn't
this.
they go unbeaten in Foghorn Leghorn helmets? Maybe bring those
Yes,
back.
they did.
Do not, under any
Bring them back.
bring those
Love
back.
it.
I'm going to be interested to see uniforms under Franklin. He was at Penn State. They wore one uniform all the time.
Yeah.
What did they wear at
I don't think that was a
Vanderbilt when he was
Franklin
there?
decision. That's
Yeah,
just Penn
who
State.
knows?
That's how they
Yeah,
roll.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
I don't like the white helmet, maroon, white pants.
Right.
I think that's a bad combination.
Bring back
Personally.
Bring back the retro, the TV logo.
I like
on the
those
helmet.
logos, yeah.
I like the state of Virginia, the outline of that one. That was a good one too.
I liked it. Oh, so I just looked it up. We were talking about Florida State real quick, and I hate to go back to this, but they have Alabama on the road next year, like second or third week of the year.
They own Alabama. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I was
They
gonna-
just
I was
beat
gonna-
them this
I was
year.
gonna say,
They just
do we
can't
need
beat
to set a
ACC
line
teams.
for when Norvell is fired? Like, does Norvell make it out of September next year?
I don't know. I mean, you save all that time, then you end up paying what would amount to the exact same buyout essentially next year, and do it early in the season. Yeah, I don't know, but Big bad SEC, one of their best teams, lost to one of the worst teams in the ACC this year. Nobody seems to remember that or count that for some reason.
Right.
And really quick for those that are just listening, the photo of the game was the Hokies wearing the Hokie Stone jersey. It was Pop Watson, a picture that was photoed.
Yeah, I wanted to. The real reason why I picked it out is look at that necklace he has on. I didn't get to say it there.
I was looking at that too.
Yeah, look at his necklace. I just. That's one slip of the neck and you're bleeding.
That was a little too sharp to be wearing anywhere near my jugular during a football game.
That scares me.
That's just
Why
me.
would anybody wear any necklaces during a football? Like one hit up around the neck and that thing falls apart, and then you're searching for diamonds or whatever.
You're right in the middle of the time out, guys.
I don't know. I would protect my jewelry a little bit better than that.
I don't know. I like protecting my neck, and that feels like one cut to the neck too many right there.
Do you guys always have like a player that you associate with a number? Like
Sure.
whenever I think of number 5 at Virginia Tech, it's like Cam Phillips, right? Or whoever.
Tyrod?
Tyrod, right? Yeah. People like that.
Marcus, wasn't he number 5?
He was number
He
5.
was.
Yeah. So it's funny. Like when you first put that picture up there, I was legitimately like, "Who's number 5 again?" Because these guys changed numbers. What did he 18 last year?
18 last
Right.
year.
Yeah. Well, he got a big cheer when he came in, too.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
Everybody's like, oh, the backup quarterback is in.
Well, I think it's gotten to the point where things have gotten very negative about Drones. I don't think they announced him at senior day, did they?
No, they did not, because I think he walked last year.
Okay, is that what it was?
That's
okay.
right, he did
I didn't
walk
know if it
last
was
year.
like a choice of his or something like that, but
Or maybe it was. And
perhaps, who knows? But I don't know. It's rough to see a 3-year run like this end the way it has for Drones, where people have been, rightfully critical of his play, but he's also done a lot of good things here.
He's a really tough player.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple runs he had in that game where it's like, okay, he's clearly not mailed this in here.
Right.
He's got like 4 guys on him and he's still stretching for a first down. Doesn't mean that the passing game has been great, but guy's still out there giving it his all in these games, which is commendable.
Well, let's close the Miami talk with some numbers from the game that occurred. David, what do you got for stat time with Scott Glesner?
This is presented by Tech Solutions. Scott said the first stat is, before the season, the last time Virginia Tech had back-to-back games with no sacks was the last 2 games of the 2002 season against Miami and Air Force. It's happened twice this season, as Andy mentioned earlier.
And Air Force never passed the ball.
Correct.
Right.
This was the first time Virginia Tech had back-to-back games of no sacks and no turnovers since at least 1985. It is the 8th straight game where Virginia Tech did not recover an opponent's fumble. 8th straight. Scott says it's the longest streak on record dating back to at least 1935.
We continue to set records.
We're pre-World War II now.
They've only forced 2 fumbles over that time, so it's tough to jump on. I mean, those are typically 50-50 propositions when they get on the ground. Although I seem to remember one against NC State where there were like 8 Virginia Tech guys around the ball, and somehow it still went to NC State.
This is the first time where Virginia Tech's had back-to-back where VT's back-to-back opponents had over 50% conversion rate on third downs since 2020. That was Boston College in North Carolina that season. Scott says something positive, and it's a punting stat. Virginia Tech had 2 punts over the last 2 games. This is the fewest over 2 games on record since at least 1950.
Yeah, how many teams can go 2 games in a row where you only punt twice, and yet you don't score 20 points in either game? Well, that's really difficult.
Tech had so many 4th down plays, it felt like, in that game.
Yeah.
Ones that counted and ones that didn't. I mean, they were 3 of 5.
Exactly.
There was one that they blew the play dead because they went to the review. There's another one where they pitched it to Overton and he got stuffed, but there was the face masks. Then that one didn't count. So, I mean, they really ran like 7 4th down plays. Just a couple of them didn't count.
Oh, I lost it. Oh, this is the first time since 1988 that Virginia Tech has had 2 separate 3-game losing streaks in a season. And here's his last stat. Over the last 3 seasons, Virginia Tech has had a string of 3 straight games in the same season of 17 points or fewer twice. Before then, the last time this happened was 2008, Miami, Duke, and Virginia. So Virginia Tech has had a string of 3 straight games with 17 or fewer points. So not exactly scoring the ball much. And funny, Andy and I were talking about it with Teal in the press box. I mean, this is, if you look at average yards per game passing wise, the fewest yards per game through the air for this offense, dating back to I think that 2008 Virginia Tech offense, when that offense was not good.
Not good at all.
And even though they won the ACC championship off that defense.
All their receivers were freshmen. Their top running back was, I believe, a freshman. Tyrod was a sophomore who still wasn't quite ready for a passer. So, yeah, that offense was behind the 8 ball as well.
Do you know, some trivia, do you know the last time Virginia Tech and Virginia played when the Cavaliers were ranked and the Hokies were not?
1997.
Nope, before that.
Really?
It was 1991.
Really? So UVA wasn't ranked in 97.
Just looking at it. Virginia was 20 in 1991, and Virginia Tech was not ranked. The last time the Hokies played Virginia when Virginia was ranked was 2011. Now the Hokies were 6th in the country. UVA was 24, but
38-0, right?
Yeah.
That was the Danny Cole,
the Logan
Thomas
block. Yeah, yeah. I think Sons of Saturday tweeted a clip about that yesterday. What a block.
Yeah.
Well, those are some great numbers. We'll talk a little bit about what's next and James Franklin's contract, but first, a message from one of our sponsors at Tech Sideline.
This episode of the Tech Sideline podcast is brought to you by Rich Web, your local provider of top-tier IT managed services. For 30 years, Rich Web has offered a comprehensive suite of cutting-edge solutions tailored to empower businesses of all sizes in today's digital age. From top-tier network engineering services, ensuring seamless connectivity and security, to our exceptional managed endpoint and cloud services, providing proactive maintenance and strategic optimization, we're dedicated to delivering excellence at every turn. Rich Web, driving enterprise IT. Visit richweb.com to learn more. Rich Web has proudly hosted TechSideline.com for over 2 decades.
All right. Well, as we continue this podcast, you kind of started alluding to it, but we're going to fully break down the game later this week. But this edition of the Commonwealth Clash is pretty significant. Despite Virginia Tech's record, UVA has a lot to play for, and Virginia Tech would love to kind of knock them out of that playoff discussion.
It's kind of rare that it's been in this situation throughout the years. There have been a few times where, I felt like UVA should have beaten Tech, but there wasn't this clear disparity between the two teams in UVA's favor, like there is this year. During the middle of the season, their offense kind of hit the wall to a certain extent, as you can see from some of those numbers. Probably from the Washington State game through the Wake Forest game. They came back strong against Duke, and now they've got a bye week. What's really kept their head above water is their defense. Obviously, 2 defensive touchdowns against Louisville. Then you hold Washington State to 20, UNC to 16. Even the game you lost to Wake Forest, you're in the game because of your defense. So this is going to be another significant challenge for the Virginia Tech offense, and they're all significant challenges for the Virginia Tech offense.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a time where I expected UVA to win or such a favor. It's probably 2018.
2018 for me.
And then somehow they didn't win that game.
Scared money don't make money.
Everything that went wrong in Tech fumbling forward into the end zone and recovered it for a touchdown at the end.
Right, Willis chasing down the ball carrier.
The near pick six he threw right before halftime. So I've been all or nothing play. Just think of what's at stake here for UVA. Chance to play in the ACC title game, best season that they've had. In addition to that 2019 season, going back 25 years. I mean, this is how the kind of special season that they've had here. Feels like there's got to be a lot of pressure on the Cavaliers. I mean, there's no pressure on the Hokies. I think everybody expects them to lose this game. If you're the Cavaliers and everything is lined up, you're coming off an off week. You've been able to rest up, prepare for this thing. You're 11-point favorites, I think they opened up as. You're playing for everything. Your other team has an interim coach kind of playing out the string here. Man, if they don't win it this year, will they ever win it? And I think if you're on the UVA side, and you're probably pretty confident about this. At the same time, you also look at 19 of 20, 1 in 19 in the last 20 games in this series. This has been your primary tormentor over the last 2 decades. It's got to be tough to feel too extremely confident about that when there's that backdrop of history in the series.
I think back to the 2021 game. Well, I mean, UVA came in with 6 wins. Hokies interim head coach and J.C. Price, and
Had to win it to go to a bowl.
correct. Yeah. And I mean, that's the J.C. smoking a cigar game afterwards.
That's the throw it to Billy Bob.
Yeah, I was gonna say UVA sure helped the Hokies out by lateraling to an offensive lineman.
Astonishingly dumb play. One of the dumbest plays I've ever seen.
But
time, moments, and think of all the receivers that they had in that offense and how good their quarterback was, and you throw it to an offensive lineman. Yeah, just incredible. I still couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
Years later, I still cannot believe that was the play call on that one.
I mean, I just think between the 2018 and the 2021 games, Hokies were probably destined to lose one or both and found a way to win both. Probably helped them out by some luck and some fumbles in that 2018 game. But this one, I feel like some of those were really, really close. Even the 2019 game where it was winner wins the Coastal Division and goes to the ACC title game. It was 2 good teams. Like, they were very close. This one's just like night and day, I think, as far as like UVA historic season. Hokies are not in that same stratosphere. But I don't know. You or Will would probably have a better answer as far as like, you might have to go back to the 90s as far as like a time where Virginia Tech was not this good and UVA was really good.
I was certain going into the 97 game that UVA would win. Tech was tailing off the end of the season. They had so many injuries, and UVA had plenty of talent back then. But before that, it was like you go into each season and it felt like an even matchup, and then slowly Virginia Tech took control of the series. This year, like you said, Andy, they better do it this year. They've got 11 senior starters on offense, either seniors or graduate students. 11 out of 11. And on defense, it's like 75% of them are seniors, right? So they heavily invested monetarily into this team to try to get as good as possible this year. So, yeah, this is one of those where there's probably some pressure on them at the same, but like, they should win the game, man. It would take a Herculean effort for them to lose a game against a team that can't score 20 points.
Does this kind of feel like, and I'm not saying the level of play is that, but remember going into last year's Super Bowl where it was like Eagles and the Chiefs, and everybody's like, the Eagles are better in every sense of this, but people are like, but I just can't pick against the Chiefs because of the history of their success there. And then what happened in the Super Bowl? The Eagles ran all over them. Again, I'm not saying the level of play is the same here, but everything that you would point to in picking this game, you go, I would pick UVA in this game. The only thing that would be holding you back is the history.
Right.
Which is not a good reason to pick a
Correct.
team.
Virginia, by the way, so Miami dropped 6th in terms of total rushing defense. Virginia ranks 23rd, and the most, if you look at the game log, the most a team has ran for against UVA this year was Florida State at 256. Now that was a game that UVA ended up winning, but UVA has not allowed more than 150 rushing yards since that game. So big time challenge for Virginia Tech. And I think the key is just, you've got to be a little bit more than one dimensional, because when the Hokies just get behind the chains, like, they're really, really good when they can just put their head down and full of steam and go and hand it off to the running backs. But I mean, this is a UVA offense that we've seen can put up points.
Well, that's going to be in the near future what's coming up, but let's talk the long-term future with the contract of James Franklin. Since the last podcast, we officially found out it is a 5-year, $41.75 million contract, which is pretty backloaded in terms of its structure as well. What do you make of this being the numbers and such?
Nothing stood out to me as far as like his salary. I expected him to make a lot of money like that. I didn't know exactly how much of it was going to come from Penn State and exactly how much of it was going to come from Virginia Tech at the beginning of the contract. But what stood out to me was the assistant coach pool, which is $9.5 million, which we don't know what that would have ranked this year, but 2024 it would have ranked 4th in the country.
I think so.
Out of public schools.
Out
of public schools. And that gets back to like turn of the century when Virginia Tech was 3rd in the country in assistant coach salaries, when they were peaking as a program and they were really investing a lot into their program. And then the other thing is the $6 million for support staff. He's going to have a massive support staff as far as like recruiting staff and a GM and things like that. So Virginia Tech is going all in financially for the football program.
Everything's kind of doubled.
Yeah, pretty
Like
much.
head coaching salaries doubled, assistant pools doubled, support staff was about doubled. Recruiting budget
More
went
than
from,
doubled.
it was 1.2 in 2024, and now it's up to 3 million. They are pouring a lot of money into this thing. And, you know, when James Franklin talks in his press conference, he said Virginia Tech had a plan. I think you're seeing it right here. This is the money and the investment that they're putting into this whole thing. And this is, you know, why the Board of Visitors went and approved this plan to pump a whole lot more money into this athletic department. This was the point of this whole thing. So interesting how they set it up with him getting, you know, $6 million, $5 million, $4 million in the first 3 years. You know, Penn State is on the hook for $9 million over those three seasons. So he's essentially getting paid $8 million a year at that point. Then it bumps up to, you know, an average of $13 million the last 2 years of the contract. Not a very long contract. Typically, I think you see 6 years.
Yeah, probably
coming
6
in.
years.
Maybe that's just the way that the college football is going to go these days. Maybe not. You see some of these Lane Kiffin offers. It's like 7 years, $98 million or whatever it is like that. You used to always have to do it, have this phony, you know, agents would always see this. What are you going to tell recruits if you're not there 4 years from now? It's like the chances of recruits getting through all 4 years at one school these days is zero. I mean, like the odds of that happening. And also, if your coach leaves now, it's like, yeah, it's probably disruptive, but you just up and leave and go somewhere else too. You have that opportunity. You're not going to be restricted by that anymore. So perhaps a 5-year contract will be more the norm going forward. Because I don't think you need to do 6, 7 years. That's where you get in real trouble with long-term buyouts. If you know, things go south and you're like, man, we got 7 years left on this contract, and we don't want to pay $59 million or whatever the Norvell contract was.
So you mentioned the numbers, the USA Today numbers from 2024, as far as 10 full-time assistants coaches' salaries go. From 2024, numbers were number 1 Ohio State at 11.4 million, number 2 Georgia at 10.3 million, number 3 Clemson at 9.6 million. Virginia Tech is now paying 9.5.
Right.
Alabama at number 5 at 9.4. Like, just for some perspective. Now, obviously, those numbers will change.
Right.
Because people continue to pour more money in. But
It should still be top 10.
But, yeah, I mean, and that doesn't include schools like Notre Dame, Penn State, Southern Cal, Miami. But just think about that in terms of where the Hokies are. Michigan, LSU, Texas, Florida State, Utah, Oregon, and Ole Miss were all below on that list, somewhere between 9.3 or 4 million and 8.2 million. I mean, the Hokies are putting in as much money as the top dogs around the country, and that's big. The other thing I wanted to mention was the viewership. There are a bunch of bonuses in the contract, but he's got ACC football viewership bonuses. So, like, if the Hokies finish first in ACC football viewership next season, Franklin would get an $800,000 bonus. I mean, and that, of course, equates to money in the long term because of the new revenue distribution and the viewership and how it's accounted for. So, I thought that was an interesting touch. I don't think we've seen that in a contract before.
Another thing that they have bonuses that you can get based on wins. And, you know, 6 wins all the way up to 12. Except the 6-win bonus no longer applies after 2026. And the 7-win bonus no longer applies after 2028.
There you go.
So they're expecting rapid improvement. I kind of like that. It's
I
like,
agree.
you know, if you're in the 5th year and you're winning 6 games, you shouldn't get anything at that point.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
probably looking to fire you at that point if you're still at 6 wins at that stage of your contract.
And if you're investing as much as Virginia Tech is, not only from a coaching staff perspective, but with their NIL and rev share numbers, they're going to be pretty darn big too. If you're getting if you're not getting 7 wins after year 2, then that's not money well spent, right? So I agree with that completely.
And we're talking about a lot of support he has in terms of getting the next group of his staff, but it sounds like he also already has some people in town and working for him right now.
Yeah, well, he told Mike Burnup and Bill Roth on their podcast on Friday that he had 8. No, I don't. We were talking about this in the press box. He has 8 8 or 9 people that he brought over from Penn State in terms of recruiting staffers and people behind the scenes to put together all the visits for this past weekend, along with the Virginia Tech recruiting staff. He's got people in Blacksburg. Now, I've seen them because I was wandering around Castle Coliseum after one of the basketball games last week and saw them getting a tour of everything. And there are like 10, 15 of them.
They don't even know what their salaries are yet.
That's what he says.
He's like, they came and they don't even know what their title or their salaries are. I find that hard to believe. I'm saying it's a nice line, but
yeah.
I think maybe the discussion goes, hey, you're probably going to be in the same role you were at Penn State.
Right. This is how much
we'll
we're
pay
pumping
you
into the
about the
program.
same amount at
Yeah.
least. Like, nobody up and leaves without knowing what their role or salary is going to be. That would be asinine. Yeah. So it sounds good, but I have a tough time believing that's true.
He's a good talker.
Yeah. But that's where he thrives. But he's got some boots on the ground already as far as Penn State people joining him. And as far as like actual assistant coaches, Hokies are obviously still have a game left. Penn State still has a game left. So I think like I would expect maybe next week, although signing day's in the middle of it with Wednesday, I would expect like once the regular seasons are done, you start to see some actual coaching staff, assistant staff news trickle out.
It wouldn't shock me if it happened like Sunday.
Right.
If some coaching hires are announced or that Monday. I mean, if signing day is that Wednesday or the early signing period, you want to get them in right away. You want to tell the world, hey, these are going to be our coaches, especially recruits that might be considering and have relationships with those guys. So I think it'll happen fast after the last game.
Well, lots to look forward to as we get towards the end of this podcast. What can we expect to see on TechSideline.com this week?
A hectic week. We've got 2 basketball tournaments, Tech UVA game, Thanksgiving. So it's a short week with more but with more content than usual slammed into it. This is like my least favorite week of the year. By the way.
Yeah, I'll have something on Jeffrey Overton at some point. I might try to reach out and talk to somebody else for that story. We'll see who else they make available. All of our interviews are tomorrow because of the holiday. So, again, very condensed, and we'll see what comes out of it.
We've got a lot of basketball. We're going to talk more about basketball tomorrow on Chris.
We're
going to
do Hoops podcast.
Yeah, a separate basketball thing. Battle for Atlantis for the men, Paradise Jam for the women. They're in Paradise this week, so must be nice. I get to go to an open air press box in Charlotte.
Well, there you go. Nick, what can we expect for audio, video, social media? What all do we need to check out?
Yeah, like they said, basketball video tomorrow afternoon, probably late afternoon. We'll have Talking with Teal tomorrow morning, and then we'll have the preview podcast and buy or sell on Wednesday. No Friday Q&A this week. And, yeah, just business as usual, just shrunken and compacted to 3 days instead of 5.
Well, there we go. Lots still to check out in this busy season of sports. Well, thank you for watching episode 456 of the Tech Sideline podcast. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the show with a friend.
Wait. Breaking news. Abigail Spanberger, the new governor-elect, has had a conversation with new Virginia Tech head coach James Franklin.
Oh, that's huge.
Oh,
Stick to sports, Nick. Stick to
conversation.
sports.
And you got it
Come
right
on
here
now.
first. Well, for now, thank you for that news, Nick. I am Riley Klaus, and for Chris Coleman, David Cunningham, Andy Bitter, and Nick Brown, the newsbreaker behind the scenes, I'm Riley Klaus, saying so long for now.